In this video, I'm going to explain to you the criteria in the state of Virginia for living separate and apart so that you can get divorced. Stay tuned. Hi, my name is Robin Grain. I've been in the divorce business for nearly 20 years as a divorce mediator, divorce coach, divorce lawyer, divorce woman, and single mom. In this video, I am going to help you understand what it takes in the state of Virginia to meet the criteria for living separate and apart. Before we get started though, please hit the subscribe button, hit that little bell, hit the like. We got a lot of great content coming out. I'd hate for you to miss it. In order to get a divorce in the state of Virginia, if you have minor children, which means pretty much 18 and under, you need to live separate and apart for 12 months. If you don't have minor children, you need to live separate and apart for 6 months as long as you have a signed settlement agreement. What does living separate and apart mean? If you sit down and settle your case with the mediator, or perhaps you have your lawyers settle it and you agree on what that date of separation is, and you can check most of the boxes I'm going to name, not necessarily all of them, but most of them, you should be good to go. So, box number 1, you need to have separate bedrooms. If you don't have 2 bedrooms in your apartment, for example, you need to at least have separate sleeping quarters for each other. That leads right into box number 2. No sex with each other. Okay? So while we have you still under the same roof, not in the same bedroom, not having sex, number 3 box that you're going to want to check is that your finances are separate. Now that's a box that I notice people have a hard time checking and oftentimes don't check, because if you're living under the same roof during your period of living separate and apart for 6 months or a year so that you can file for divorce, chances are it has something to do with money. But I do encourage my clients when they're doing divorce mediations to start separating the money. For example, one person can pay the mortgage, another can make a contribution towards household expenses. That type of a separation. So you want to start working your way towards that if you're not already there. Another box that you're going to want to check, which is absurd and ridiculous, but it comes up, all the time when you do research on living separate and apart in a divorce in Virginia, that's don't do each other's laundry. I know. I'm just telling you. I'm just reporting it as I learn it. Now we will move on to outside of your home. What do you need to do outside of your home if you're trying to make a showing that you're living separate and apart in a Virginia divorce? First of all, you don't want to go to social functions together. I'm making this video during the time of the pandemic, so it's a little weird, but I'm telling you the rules that they were pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. Because now most people seem to not be socializing a lot. Don't go to parties together. Don't go to weddings together. Don't go to any sort of functions together if you can avoid it. Now, where some of the exceptions to this come in is if it's going to be really weird for your children to not have mom and dad at a function together. That seems to be okay in the courts, but once again, the law's not super clear. You don't want to be flashing your wedding rings around, so take your wedding rings off. You don't want to go on vacation together. Although there's been exceptions to that too. For example, if people have a Disney cruise or something booked for themselves and their children and the kids are really looking forward to it, sometimes they go. Usually nothing happens. Well, it's a good idea to tell people. Tell your neighbors, tell your family members, tell your friends that you no longer want to be viewed as a couple. It's very strange when you live under the same roof, but at the end of the day, you are going to need at least one person who will sign an affidavit that'll be prepared by the attorney that prepares and files the divorce paperwork, stating that they have personal knowledge that you've been living separate and apart. Usually that person comes in and out of your house at different times of the day and sees that you have separate bedrooms, you're not having meals together, etc. Once again, in this pandemic environment, I am not exactly sure how all that's going to be handled. But certainly, people are not running in and out of people's homes like they used to be. Lots of attorneys tell their clients to write a letter of intent. One client or one spouse writes a letter to the other spouse stating, I now intend to be living my life separate and apart from you. And then the second part of the legal criteria is, and I intend that separation to be permanent. Finally, I think it's a good idea to have a reason for why you are living under the same roof. Even though you're probably going to do your divorce all by paperwork, if you end up in litigation, you're going to want to have a reason why you're doing your separation under the same roof, particularly if the other spouse contests the date of separation. Why would somebody contest? Big reason in Virginia. Because from the date of separation forward, most assets that are acquired don't belong to the marriage. They're separate. They're not on the table for division and distribution. Same for debts. So it can be a big deal in litigation when that date of separation falls. Lastly, and this doesn't go to the definition of living separate and apart, but I strongly recommend that you focus on your settlement, not your divorce. Clients call me all the time completely focused on the date of separation. And I say, what are you thinking about in terms of custody for the kids, about in terms of your retirement assets, the house? And they really haven't thought about any of that. They're totally focused on the date of separation. The settlement agreement that somebody like me drafts, your attorney can draft, that covers everything. All matters of custody if you have kids, all matters of child support, all matters of alimony, all matters of the division and distribution of assets and debt, and it is enforceable in a court of law. So that's everything. What does a divorce do? Very little. It allows you to get remarried, kind of a negative. It allows you to never file your taxes jointly, which could cost you money. It disallows you to ever have health insurance under the same plan. That can be a real negative for people. It changes the way in which you own real estate, which is usually not a good thing. And it's not until you're divorced that you can actually start dividing and distributing your retirement. So you can see the settlement agreement is the big deal. The divorce, while it's huge emotionally, I understand that, that's not the focus when you're just getting started. So I hope that you've learned a lot. I hope you understand what living separate and apart means in the state of Virginia. If you got any questions, leave them in the comment. I'll make sure to get back to you. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. See you next time.